Good evening, everybody. Right before we had our Valentine's and President's Day little break there, I got started on this Agar lab. And the first thing we did, and the first thing I filmed obviously, was to see if our disinfectant worked. So for starters, let's look over here. You see one labeled C and the other labeled E. So in this case, our C stands for control, and the E, of course, stands for experimental. So did it work? Well, yeah, I'm cool with that. We went from 10 species to 3 species. So let me kind of just zoom in a little bit here. So you see some that are, black mold, some that are off-colored mold. We have big white fluffy bacterial colonies, some that are smaller cream-colored colonies, some that are yellow, some that are orange, some that are pink, even a couple that are almost red. So I counted 10 different species in all. So it's a bit of a diverse ecosystem, if you want to use that term. And then on the right, our experimental group. Yeah, I'm stoked. That's good. That's pretty much what I expected. Our hypothesis checked out. We still have 3 species, so is that disinfectant 100%? No. But what we kind of did, if you want to use an ecological term, we kind of created a monoculture. So the disinfectant killed off most of this, the mold and some of these other species, and then the few that lived kind of took over. Okay. So it worked, and one experimental error that I can even focus on here is obviously the bottom of a shoe has little crevices, so perhaps I couldn't even swab all the way into those hard to reach areas. Okay? Now, something else we did is in class I had you guys holler out some of the items around my desk close to where I sit, where I could swab, and we wanted to see just which one's the nastiest, kind of in terms of diversity. How many species can we get to grow? So one period chose the keyboard, one period chose my coffee cup, since I do have a rather nasty coffee addiction. One period chose my iPhone, and then I went ahead and just picked out the AC. I thought the AC would be pretty nasty because air gets in there, gets deposited, and germs are obviously going to get stuck in there. At least you would think they would. So let's check out and see what we got. The keyboard, oh boy, several different species of mold and fungi, even some yeast. And also several species of bacteria. So yeah, that's pretty darn diverse. A lot of species there. And then of course my hypothesis with the AC checked out. Also several different species of bacteria and mold alike. The coffee cup, not so bad. There's that one big mold that's growing in there, as you can see. But for the most part, it's just a bunch of little bacteria. Kind of the same thing with the iPhone. Again, there's one big fungal colony, but it's not too bad. There's stuff growing, but in terms of a diversity, not so bad. So let's see here. Which one's the worst? In terms of just number of species, I would say the keyboard, followed closely by the AC, and then it's pretty much a draw between the coffee cup and the iPhone. Okay, the last thing, I just wanted to touch base on some of the species we have here. There's some mold and there's some yeast, so obviously those are fungi. Okay. In terms of bacteria, there is quite a bit of Bacillus subtilis. There's quite a bit of Streptococcus pyogenes. I think the most common one of all, though, is Staphylococcus. A lot of staph. And you might be thinking, like, oh my goodness, that sounds just nasty. Well, you have to remember that most of these bacteria are a natural part of our skin's fauna. So our own bodies are like ecosystems, and really things like staph and strep and many others, they cause problems when we have an injury, a wound, and there's an infection. So in that case, most bacteria and even many fungi, like athlete's foot, for example, they're opportunistic. They don't really cause infections unless there's a wound for them to enter your body, and especially if your immune system is compromised. Okay. Well, there you go. I'm kind of happy. I was worried about my fish and critters in the room because at home we lost power for several days, but here everything looks good to go, and I am happy as can be, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. So guys, have a great Sunday evening. I've missed y'all, and I will see you in the morning. Peace out and God bless.